Welcome back, everybody, to What's Up Universe podcast. I'm here with my co-host. Well, first, I'm MK, right? Everybody knows that. And I'm here with my co-host, Jen. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing super well, and I'm excited because we have basically an 80s icon with us today.
We do. We have Jenny Hale of Always a Duckman fame. So excited. Welcome to the podcast. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for having me. I'm really very honored to be a part of your universe. I'm massively modest, and I feel like I don't deserve these accolades, but I will just take the compliment for what it is. You know, you reached out to me, and I feel very grateful to have this experience with y'all and to be talking about what we're about to be talking about. And a little bit about myself. Well, I have a twin sister, and occasionally you'll see her in some of my social media videos on TikTok and Instagram. And we've been living in the Chicago area all our lives. Primarily, my basic identity is having a twin. There's no escaping that if you have a twin. We are actually, I'll just say I, because she can also chime in. I started out being a very precocious little child. I mean, that happens when you're twins. One wants to go that way, and the other one wants to go the opposite way. And we were really into just making up our own stories and playing in the backyard and imagining it's like Neverland or the Secret Garden. So we've always been entertainers and musicians. We both play the violin. We have been playing the violin for
nearly, I don't want to say.
It's going to be closing
almost
in
30.
On 30, yeah. We started when we were in elementary school, and we've done theater and singing and just entertainers all around. Very much into movies, a lot of fantasy films, a lot of obviously John Hughes. I mean, you having been titled as, you know, an 80s icon, huh? And on the opposite end of that, we got into like the grunge movies, for example, like Bill and Ted and Wayne's World and Airheads and Encino Man, a lot of Pauly Shore films, just across the board, just a variety of different genres, which I think really shows on not only my social media contents. So on my main account on TikTok, primarily in IG, which is Mannequin Femme, I feel like I don't look like the same person twice. I generally try not to, just to keep myself challenged but also throw people for a loop a little. And, you know, one day I'll be Duckie, and then the next day I'll be a Molly Ringwald character. And then the next day I'll be Garth Algar from Wayne's World, and then this or that thing, or like the Red Queen, and it's just a variety, like a rubber face. I'm pretty much a pretender, or a mistress of disguise. Speaking of being mistresses of disguises, different disguises, cosplay, another sort of faction of our lives, revolves a lot around cosplay, and then we sort of marry that passion we marry that passion of cosplay with our interests in music and entertaining and performing, and just our own passions for subject matter. Like, for example, I have several degrees in computer science, human computer interaction, accessibility, SEO, website design, librarianship, and Egyptology, with several certifications. The listicle goes down. And likewise, my sister has degrees in fashion design and was it business merchandising?
Visual merchandising. So I used to work at Macy's as a visual merchandiser. I'm actually currently working full-time in a library makerspace. So I get to deal with like laser cutters and 3D printers and all sorts of fun equipment that I actually get to incorporate into my costume. So I'm like, ooh, I can't believe I get to do this for a living.
Yeah. And so we sort of ping pong inspire each other. We've always done that throughout our lives. So if I would get interested in some crazy thing, she would incorporate it into her own thing. For example, with Egyptology, I've been interested in it since I was a little kid, first or second grade. It started off with doing a book report with one of my classmates. And I was always, having been a precocious child, I was always wanting to do the exact opposite of everybody. So if everybody was doing things on planets or this or that animal, I was looking for the craziest subject that I could find in the library. Like, okay, this looks amazing. It was like a water clock type thing, like a bowl, a stone bowl thing. I thought it was weird. And I told my partner, we are doing a book report on this thing. I don't know what it is, but we're going to find out. And so it all started off with my passion for Egyptology. It started off with a water clock, and it just went from there. And throughout most of my childhood up until high school and then college, I've just been informally studying the thing, but now it's more of a lifetime's worth of formal study, it feels like. And then when we got into college, she had was it a niche collection or your senior collection for fashion?
It was my senior collection. Yeah, I just based it solely off of like Egyptian fashion and kind of like took a spin on it a little bit, like learned a little bit more about the history and everything. Thanks all partly to you because you inspired me to do that collection. I think I still have the pieces for that, actually.
Yes, I very much doubt I fit into the thing anymore. But then again, I surprise myself when I go back to the things that I had in high school. I put them on, like my prom dress. I zipped it up and I was like, nope. No, actually, there was a hallelujah moment. And then I ended up using it when one of my TikToks, speaking of Molly Ringwald characters, that was one of them. I portrayed Samantha Baker in her, while it was my prom dress, I picked that prom dress because it reminded me of Samantha Baker's bridesmaid dress in 16 Candles. And it was the only one on the rack. And I'm like, oh, it's mine. It doesn't fit me. It's way too big, which I'm glad that happened because it now fits me and I can use it for a TikTok. I knew I kept it for a reason.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I had myself a little Molly Ringwald kind of revamp of a high school prom dress where I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe I bought this thing. Like, I need to give it a redress here, okay? So I'm like, so it's like the super uber 90s, like straight cut long thing. Like, let's make this something else. I'm like, it was like probably the worst experience of my life going to prom.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm just like, I need some soothing, I just need to hack into this thing and make it something different. And then it's just like something new, something inspiring, and yeah, it was just really helpful. Mental, what do you call it? Therapy. There you go.
It's like a cleanse,
Yeah.
Take a bad experience and turn it into a positive one. Kind of like, it almost feels like, you're like an Andy Walsh in Pretty in Pink moment, basically. And with the prom experience, how terrible was that? It's exactly what the Annie Potts character said. Oh, it was the worst. Oh, it definitely was. It was. Oh my goodness! But
nothing's missing. I swear, nothing is missing.
Yeah, I didn't want to have that experience where I'm checking my pockets and I'm checking my non-existent kids and things in my purse because there's nothing missing really except for the one experience of going to prom. Just go. Don't overanalyze it, kids. Just go. And after college, after high school and college, we got into cosplay, and I think if I think about it really intensely, the indelible moment, that aha moment, because throughout our whole lives we've been super nerds. Like, we grew up on Star Trek and Star Wars, and anything my dad watched, we watched. But we were definitely Trekkers. Still love the universe and fandom, and I'd always seen little bits and pieces, like clips and stuff during episodes of Star Trek. And I think it might have been on MeTV with Sven Gulli, who's a local host, kind of a horror host. You're like an Elvira or a vampire kind of a personality. And there were clips of Star Trek fans going to conventions. And for the longest time, probably up until when I started working in a library, so like the mid 2000s, I always thought, just seeing that on television, I thought, oh, that's cool. Intimidating being a little kid. I don't want to seeing a giant Klingon coming at you. That's scary to a kid who's like barely even knee high. But I always thought that conventions were only for Star Trek fans. I'm like, okay, what would I dress up as? I don't know, but it seems like a scary thing to me. Then I grew out of that once I got into the real world and realized, it's not as scary as you thought it was going to be. Sometimes it is, but other times it's not. And even if you're afraid, just still go and do your things. Just do it afraid. So then I found out there was this one winter reading program, and I was just chilling, doing my job, and in comes this guy dressed as Jack Sparrow, like doing his thing. And I was so enamored of him, I could separate the person wearing the costume and then the character. I'm not into the whole, oh my God, it's Jack Sparrow, because of being a performer, you kind of can see past the veil, you can see past the fourth wall. Sometimes I kind of get bummed out that I could do that. Like, oh, well, I like how they're acting. Like, oh my goodness, this is very intense. This is such a great emotion that this character is exuding. And, but other times, so anyway, so this Jack Sparrow character comes in, and I'm observing this guy, trying not to look like a creep, and then I look up because he has a website and a MySpace. So this is MySpace era, if anybody remembers that. I think it's still around, isn't it? I think it's still around. It's just not quite.
I can't even remember my login.
I don't either. I'd be impressed. I'd be super impressed if I remember mine. Yeah. So I looked on his MySpace, and then I looked on his website because I was into websites, and I was poking around the source code of his website, looking at how he structured it, and just being a giant nerd on the side while observing him doing his thing, and looking at all the photos that he's done, had on his website and his MySpace page. And he's into Star Trek, and obviously Jack Sparrow was his bread and butter back then. And he was in different venues with other like-minded individuals dressed the same way. So like Star Wars. And now that I think about it, I think he was at a Star Wars Celebration, to be honest with you, just based on my memory of having looked at these photos. And I forget what other character, I think he did something from DC, like the Heath Ledger's Joker. Yeah. And so I was really learning this world of cosplay that was so bottlenecked into just me thinking it was only for Star Trek fans, sort of embiggened like a giant balloon being inflated. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I could do it. And then I thought, well, you know what? This would be a great thing for my sister and I to do together, to sort of, again, marry all of our things that we're interested in into something new to experience. That I've always had this little voice in my head thinking or telling me, do this, you want to. I know it's intimidating. I know it just kind of stresses you out thinking about it, but just do it, and do it afraid, but just do it. Don't not do it because you're afraid. But and yeah, that's where it all started with the cosplay thing. And also the whole relaying interest back and forth like a ping pong match, and inspiring each other. And I think after the whole cosplay thing, I'm not sure what the next chapter of our lives is. We kind of just went with that is sort of the thing that we would do for the rest of our lives. It will continue to make a great impact on our lives, because once you catch the acting bug, you're never going to let it go. And I think that's true because we've been doing this for I want to say 15 years.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I think that's where we are right now. And on top of that thought, and it being something that's going to be something we do for much of the rest of our lives, the one thing that I am doing now is sort of switching up how I cosplay. Because in the beginning, we were very shy, anxious, anxiety ridden, balls of anxiety, just tiptoeing into the convention scene. Didn't know anybody. Kind of started off with low key costumes. And in fact, I think Andy and Duckie from Pretty in Pink was our third cosplay. Our first one was someone from Twilight. And
oh my God,
I think I portrayed Evelyn Carnahan from The Mummy Returns. So things that we knew that we were comfortable with attending a convention in, but not necessarily something that was crazy full on special effects makeup that you could see from 100 feet away, and kids would just come flocking at you, and adults would be all childlike. And so we kind of kept our little own bubble, and these low-key costumes were something that were very contemporary, so they weren't as readily recognizable as some of the rest of our things. So it kind of kept that separation between having to socialize with other people that we didn't know that terrified us.
Don't notice me.
Yes, please don't notice me, even though I'm dressed up in a character. And then the next chapter of our cosplay career was not too much longer after we started. It was the Red and the White Queen from the Tim Burton thing.
Tim Burton, Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah. Alice in Wonderland. I was like, it's called Underland, right? But it's Wonderland, Alice in Wonderland. And that, I think I have 1 or 2 videos on my main account on TikTok. And I don't usually do the more splendid cosplays on that account because 1, it's TikTok. 2, it's getting dressed in full-on cosplay takes something like 4 hours, and I don't think it's worth. I personally don't think it's. Yeah, really. Oh my gosh, my Nebula cosplay from Guardians of the Galaxy takes like 6 to 7 hours. No, I will wear. I think I've worn that twice in the last 10 years.
Same with me. I think my Aura Singh is Diva Plava Laguna from The Fifth Element. Like, I have only worn that like 3 times in my whole life. It's impressive. It's hard. It's hard to put together. It's impressive, but it's also time consuming. And so that next chapter was going all out and getting more comfortable with ourselves and in character this time, because we've had Renaissance Fair training. It was something where we could implement that newfound information and knowledge in how to hold yourself and how to think like the character and engage with like other people.
Yeah, and engage successfully with, even though you might be failing at this interaction, at least bring it back around so you can make it into a really fun experience. Like, I mean, they have stories about that, but being that it's a Renaissance fair, they're kind of not good for television. So I don't know how I could get past the censors without. Anyway, but yeah. So our next one was just really bringing our performing background into the cosplay world and really putting the play into costume. So cosplay, right? Costume play. And then we got into competitions for a while, and we did really good, I think. And it's not to say that we're not going to go competing again. I have several awards in prop making, and she's got several master level costuming awards, and we've had dual things together. We love doing skits. My gosh, we've been all around the world, not all around the world, all around the country. Oh my.
I wish.
Yeah, I wish, really. Like from New York Comic-Con to San Diego and Los Angeles Comic-Con, and mostly are kind of exclusive to the Midwest and primarily around the Chicago area. Our most famous one, our most well-known one, is C2E2, which is Chicago Comics and Entertainment Expo. So C2E2, and also Wizard World, which is now called FanCon. We have a lot of anime conventions. And then our next chapter of cosplay would be, I guess, just really getting back to our being the character kind of thing, which is to say we didn't lose that being the character thing when we were competing, but it's something that we really enjoy doing. And we're not just putting on the costume just to say, look at me, take my picture, I want to be famous, which I don't. I can't even. I had one of my posts I finally got $1 million baby on my hands. And while it was amazing to finally get 1 million views on one of my posts, I would never wish that to be a consistent thing on anyone, because it's just, I want to comment on everything, even the bad stuff, even feeding the trolls, because at least it's an interaction, you know? And
I kind of like, you actually tagged me on that one. I'm like, I'm still getting notifications.
Really? Oh no, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
It's all good. Oh man. But it's you know, it's the beast of the thing. When you put yourself out there, you're gonna get all sorts of feedback, mostly good, thank God. Where's the wood? Knock on wood. Knock on wood. I've mostly had positive responses to much of the things that I have done, and I'm sure you have done, Lisa, that in not only the real world, but primarily in the social media world. I can maybe count on 2 hands the number of really gross comments or interactions that I've had on social media in the last, gosh, maybe 10 years. I think I've been on social media. But yeah, I think that's where we are right now. I feel like I've lived 300 lives. Sometimes I feel like I'm 300 years old every time I get out of the bed. You know, it's like, oh, Jesus. They say they're right. Your knees are the first to go. But yeah, that's where we are. You know, so that's us in a nutshell. You know.
It's so clear that you guys are so in sync, and I know that it is so surprising to our audience that you have a theater background. It is shocking to everyone right now listening. And natural talent is real. Natural entertainers are real, and you two definitely fit the mold. Let's go back to your cosplay, specifically of Duckie, because that's really what you're known for, at least what we found you for.
Yeah.
Tell us about how you started that one.
Duckie came about because whenever my sister and I think of something new to do in cosplay, like a character, picking a character or picking a fandom in general, and then looking at the characters and which ones kind of give us this great vibe, like, oh, that person kind of looks like me. I think I can portray them well enough. And then you get really intense into the character background and everything like that. So how our duo works is she primarily she'll pick a character. It's usually the one that I want to do. And sometimes it is. Well, our Beetlejuice one, when we did our Beetlejuice one, I was like, man, that's the one I wanted to do. But
well, I mean, hello, you knocked it out of the park with the magician's assistant. Hello.
Oh yeah, because it's all about, you got to wear the couch. But anyway, so with our Duckie, our Pretty in Pink one, she picked Andy, and I honestly, at that time, I kind of vaguely remembered Pretty in Pink because.
I think I saw it. I saw it before you, and it was like, what the heck is a Duckie?
Yes. So yeah, I'd seen that film. I remember watching it for the first time, Salt and Pepper, like, channel surfing back and forth. I don't remember what I was doing, looking at also in addition to Pretty in Pink. But I flicked on, it was like WGN, like a summer presentation thing on the weekend. And of course, living in the Chicagoland area, we had a lot of John Hughes related movies on television almost all the time. And Pretty in Pink was on, and I didn't know the title of it. I didn't know who the characters were. I didn't know what was going on. But I flicked it on, and it was during the club scene, and I'm like, oh, who's this goofy kid? He's adorable. He seems like somebody I could be friends with. In fact, he reminds me of some of the friends that we've had throughout all our life. And so I was like, oh, he's cute. Oh, it's a commercial. Let me go back to the base, the Cubs game. And I would just go back and forth and get this really, just like holy, like Swiss cheese sort of experience with Pretty in Pink for the first time. I think it's like the mid 90s or something. I know you'd seen it well before I did, at least by a couple of years. So while I'm channel surfing, she comes by my room, and she my sister walks past my door, and she catches me watching it. And she goes, oh my God, I love this movie. I love Duckie. Have you seen him? He's so adorable and cute. And oh my goodness. And then she walks away. And then I'm like, oh, well, that was fantastic. Who's Duckie?
What's a Duckie? What's a Duckie?
What's a Duckie? And that's like my first really remembrance of this Pretty in Pink universe, and specifically of Duckie. Like, who's a Duckie? Is the kid Duckie?
Where's
And
the
then-
shoes, Duckie?
Yes. And then when he does this little tap, tap, foot thing at the end, at the prom, I look at the shoes and I'm like, wow, those are cool. Are those Duckies? and then finally she goes, let's do Pretty in Pink. I want to be Andy. I'm like, oh, I think I remember this movie. And she's like, yeah, you watch it again. And so I watched it again. Finally, this is what? To early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it through and through. And finally, right off the bat, then that first scene where we see Duckie, actually we see his shoes first, don't we? And then he pans up and you see this cool kid. But and then he like sort of jump starts Andy's heart by sneaking up on her.
Hi, how's your day?
Yeah. Just like, hi, Duckie. Like, oh, he's Duckie. Oh my God, I knew it. But yeah, and so I thought, oh, I'm all about this character. And so I was watching it and I'm like, yeah, I was totally all about this universe. And then I got to the end where she picks Blaine. I'm like, what? I don't get this ending. I don't understand this ending. Why would she choose upward mobility? I don't know if that was the whole vibe to me. It's like,
She should have taken Duckie, man.
She's at least just said, I don't want to date you, Blaine, but I will keep my best friend Duckie because we uplift and elevate each other. So I feel like that whole vibe at the end of the movie is just terrible. What are you telling women? Oh, you can go to school, be intelligent, and have massive talent, but then feel like you need a guy to make things happen. I'm like, dude, you don't need anybody. All you need is yourself, and then maybe have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. But that's where my introduction. That's been my experience in my life with Duckie, and then the pandemic happened, and I thought back onto all of the characters that I portrayed and thought, well, I really still want to cosplay, but I have living alone. I didn't have, dogs or anything to entertain me. I don't really watch television because I'm usually on TV or doing something. So it's kind of ruins the experience. I don't know. I have to be doing a thing. I don't like watching a thing. I like television and movies. I don't have to watch it, but or specifically myself on television. So at the pandemic, it's like, what's gonna keep me from, what's gonna get me out of my head? Because being by myself, not having another person with me, or a dog or a cat or something to really share the experience with, because I was stuck in my head during the pandemic, and I'm sure a lot of people were. I thought, okay, what's going to get me going? What's going to entertain me? What's going to get me out of my headspace? What do I have a passion for that's not going to require that I do any effort, make any effort? I want to have zero effort, but high, reward. So it's like, that's impossible. But I thought about cosplay, and I'm like, okay, I don't really want to make anything new for TikTok, which is how that happened. The pandemic happened, and then TikTok happened for me. And again, I'm sure a lot of people had that same scenario, like, so something to do to keep yourself busy during lockdown. And so I thought, okay, what are on top of the cosplay thing, what is it that makes me feel good? 80s and 90s stuff, like the characters that we've all mostly cosplay. And so I thought, okay, now of that very niche idea, what are the characters that I love, and that was John Hughes. And of that little niche action of, interest, I was like, which one character that I love the most? Duckie, of course. And so that was like my very first TikTok. And on top of doing that, I was thinking, what else do I like to do? Oh, I like to dance. So what is the most iconic scene from that film? It's the Duckie dance. And that's what I did. The whole gyrating thing. It's like, wow, my goodness. Wow. I don't know how Molly Ringwald just stood there. I would have been
Iona or Annie Potts was really enjoying it.
Yeah, that would have been me. Girl,
I'm all into that.
Yeah, so when do you want to get married?
I love Duckie too. He's hands down my favorite John Hughes character, aside from Jim Dodge from Career Opportunities. Them two are like, are my dream boyfriend.
Roller skating scene. I wanted to do that, but I wonder if it's a Target, isn't it? Right? In Career
it is. Yes.
Do we know anybody at Target who could just after hours we could just skate around? My God.
You got to do it with the veil and everything, the wedding veil. Yes.
Oh my, yes. I would love to do that. Oh, thank you. Oh, I don't need any more influence. I don't need any more suggestions.
Oh no.
But no, I really want to. Like even with, because I've done the Ducky dance 2 times on social media and once in real life. But I also want, I haven't posted one on my, not really on my Always a Duckman TikTok or Instagram. And I really want to do it at a real record store. And there is a real record store out in Oviedo, Florida called Duckie's Vintage Boutique.
I saw
And
that.
yes, it's in Oviedo. I think it's Oviedo, Florida. The mall in there. Yeah, Duckies. Big shout out to Duckies. I love them. Yeah. Oh man, I even hinted at wanting to do that scene there in their store. It's like, well, I think I'll bring my. I love this store. I love how you curate your items. I might have to make a pilgrimage there. And I'll bring my dance shoes. And they responded back, oh my God, we would love to have you. I'm like, oh, goody.
Oh, good. Find out who's the owner of that place and get on it.
It's, like, it's going to happen whether they want it to happen.
Oh, a rando flash mob. Hello.
Yeah, I know. I've brought a film crew. You can't deny me. You can't deny me.
I know people. We know people.
Yes.
We know people.
Yeah. I'll bring Marilyn Vance with me.
Oh my God.
So how long does it take you to become Ducky?
Not very long. Of all the characters that I portray, I feel like I carry myself like him in general. But being Italian, like it's all about. It's just he's all like he has these long. John Cryer has these long fingers, and we both have long fingers, and it's like great for piano playing. And it's just I just get in. See, already I'm in it now. I'm already on. And as soon as I get the hair, mostly, and my hair is very long, and it goes all the way down to my bottom. And so a lot of times with a lot of my characters, specifically Ducky, trying to figure out how to get all of that hair in that DA, go Google what that means. The pompadour, his pompadour, and then doing that little elephant trunk, and then what is it? What's another alternative word for? It's just like DA. It's a ducktail, right? It's like a ducktail. That little split down the
like a greaser, 1950s greaser pompadour kind of thing,
which is pretty kind of like his vibe, but not really. It's like he's kind of based off of what do you call it? The classic
Teddy Boy
50s Teddy Boy, but the costume designer Marilyn Vance went with the 70s resurgence of that, because obviously it's all his stuff is thrifted, right? And so you're going to get 60s stuff.
Most of the Zeke stuff is thrifted.
Yeah.
Thrifted.
and that's another thing that we love doing is thrifting, and becoming the Ducky character is also something that is parallel to how we have lived our lives, even with Andy, for example, because they're both of the I feel like he's much more below the poverty line pretty much than Andy. I feel like she's like middle class, but not so much. But they really are they really are poor. They have not a lot of money, and then that's kind of been our whole lives. We've been very frugal with money, and so not only do like moving around like Ducky is very easy to do because I already do it, and it's just enhancing that, like going even more intense, and but also having a similar lifestyle, not a lifestyle, but
mentality, kind of way of I guess like lifestyle, but not in the sense of like
just being
social class, I guess.
Right. Just how we grew up, like how our parents raised us, and how we were very frugal with money. We got hand-me-down clothes. We had handmade clothes. We had vintage clothes, like some of the stuff from the 60s and 70s I could still wear of my mom's and my dad's. And that too, when it hit like the combination of men's and women's clothes, I just I don't really care about, as long as the pants fit me.
Does it fit me? Okay.
But yeah, primarily it's the hair. It's the hair that really brings the character out, in my opinion. And then I kind of have to darken my eyebrows a little.
Make it more manly.
Yeah. My eyebrows barely survived the 90s. And so I just have to okay, yes, I thought so. Yeah. It's like, I feel like, because you all say you're in your 30s, we're almost 40. And so it's just like, oh goodness. why was that a thing?
Thinny, pencil, thinny.
I think it maybe had something to do with Gwen Stefani. I don't know. Because she wrapped those barely their eyebrows. My goodness, she was super hot. That's primarily what I would say with a lot of John Hughes characters, even if you aren't that character in general, or even if you aren't 100% like that character, you could still connect with the characters that are within the John Hughes universe, or I like to say the Hughes-verse. I hope I'm the first one to use that.
It's like calling it something fetch, like the Hughes-verse.
Yes. Don't make fetch happen.
Let's make the Hughes-verse happen.
Yes, let's make it happen, people. You heard it here first. But with the Breakfast Club, even though they come from 5 different not social classes, like high school cliques, they all find that they have common ground, really. And you can even see that through their clothes. They're all bundled up in like 3 or 4 layers of clothing, and throughout the rest of the movie they're like taking off their jackets, like they're taking off their scarves, they're peeling layers of themselves and showing their kind of like their true colors, and then by the end of the film they're down to the last layer, except for maybe the basket case, who's still sort of kind of into her own world. Like, I'm not going to expose my last layer, because I feel like we all have that little reticence to show our true selves. And for example, at the beginning of this podcast interview, I was
sometimes I just have to grab you by the hands and stop shaking.
My hands were shaking, and I thought, oh, for sure I'm going to say something wildly inappropriate, or just say something like completely uncharacteristically of myself, or revisit a thing that happened in my life that I don't want to talk about, or whatever. Somehow we get, but then again, whatever. I know who I am 24/7, 365. So I'm
do it afraid.
Yes,
do it afraid.
That's what. Yeah, for the 3rd time during this interview. Yes, that's gonna be the.
Carrie Fisher said that.
Yeah, that's who I stole it from. Yes, I did.
Outside of your entertainment realm, which is such a huge part of your lives, how did the 2 of you end up in a library? I love this so much.
That's
wow.
That's fun.
Oh, wow.
Well, so this is during the recession, not during the recession, because when we were undergraduates in the early 2000s,
just coming out of college.
So we have not inclusive of music and stuff on both sides of the family. Teachers. My maternal grandfather was a teacher of science. Yes. And then my paternal aunt, one of them is a teacher. Well, she was
like a principal, administrator.
Yeah. So I wanted to be a teacher. I got to my student teaching thing at the 4th and final year, where you have to go in front of a class and teach. And I realized, I don't like this. This is just, I'm stressed out. And I'm sure teachers across the world can attest to that. It's so stressful.
Sure. Yeah.
You want to teach how you want to teach the kids, but then like the Illinois State Board of Education has their own rules, and you have to make sure that you can check off each benchmark, that you're doing that in your classroom. You can have fun. Teachers have fun. Teachers are very clever and very creative, I feel. I wanted to be a K through 12 educator in French and math, so I specialized in because I speak it fluently. And that was that's another thing. We're both linguists, and that is what I wanted to do. Like I said, being a precocious kid, I wanted to do the opposite of what people were doing, what my classmates were doing, what my peers were doing. And while everybody was picking Spanish, I was like, I want to learn French. And so that's what I did. And so I thought, okay, that's what I want to do. And then I figured out I do not like doing this. So what? Yeah, I don't like this whole teacher thing. I could do the one-on-one thing, but with cosplay, well, now I can entertain a whole freaking room. When we were going into college, was this in college? Gosh, I don't know. My life feels like a mess. But so I went to college, to the same college as my sister, and we both dormed together. I felt like
big surprise there.
Yeah, I don't want to find out that my roommate is crazier than I am. I have, the bar here for the general state of my level of weird is here's average, here's me, and then I
super
don't know,
crazy.
yeah, I don't know if I can take somebody who's in the stratosphere. I could now, but not in college. And so we went together to the school that had both the things that we wanted to do, fashion design. Once I figured out, well darn, I don't want to do teaching. What was the one thing that I loved doing? I loved going to the library. I love reading books, like for the fun of it, and not just textbooks. And you have to do carrying giant mounds of books because you have to read these things. And I would just read. I read the whole series of Elizabeth Peters' series of, because I was always interested in Egyptology. It's like a Indiana Jones, but a female version almost. Like Amelia Peabody is her name. So if you're into books and you like Egyptology, that is the perfect series for you. And so I found, okay, maybe there's a place for me in the library. And so that's what I was doing. I was applying to every single library because I was also applying to every single teaching position. There was nobody was looking for a French or math teacher at the time because it was a recession. Nobody wanted to retire. And so I was like, dang it. So then I went to my this little font in the back of my head. Well, let's try libraries. I've always loved going to the library, and let's see if there's something there for me. There was this IT support opening,
like help desk kind of thing.
And I love computers. I've always been into computers, like computer gaming and fixing computers and learning about them, web design. That's actually weird that whole thing when we were in college. We were starting to learn Microsoft Word 2000 something, 2002, and we were learning how to do websites and that using Microsoft Word, which don't do people.
Oh my God.
That's deprecated technology now. Yeah. If you're curious about how you could have done it, and you're a nerd like me and you want to, it's like, it's like asking somebody, what's your favorite deprecated search engine? Like mine is Ask Jeeves.
I was going to say this. We must be twins.
Yes. I remember when Google first came out.
It was Ask Jeeves, I think, right?
Yeah, Google. Yeah, I like Ask Jeeves.
Well, that's what I was Google.
Ask Jeeves never gave me what I wanted, but I loved him anyway.
What a man!
Yeah,
typical man.
I mean, yeah. So I figured, okay, and they hired me, and that's pretty much how I got into it then. And so while I was doing my IT support, I was just poking around their website, and I thought, wow, they need a web designer. And so I kind of sort of made myself not really. I feel like they already knew that they needed one, and they just saw a good opportunity in me. And as I'm hoping that you found out through this interview, I try to make myself as indispensable as possible. So, like, for example, if the world goes to pot, like it almost did, if the zombie apocalypse happens, I want to be able to know how to do things. Like, sewing is a very important skill. Like, how many of you can say that you can sew? I mean, a lot of people, I'm sure, but yeah. So yeah, that's how I got into libraries. Is because it's really a dumb mistake. Not a mistake, but sheer dumb luck, maybe.
Yeah.
Or just haphazardly.
Meant to be. Well, actually, honestly, in all honesty, it just was meant to be. Like you fell into it, but you found that it was for you. So
yeah. Well, thank you. I think it was kind of like a bad acting experience or something. Like when you're at the Renaissance Fair where you're having just this failed interaction. I kind of took kind of like what Duckie does. That guy got thrown in the bathroom. He got shoved into a garbage can. Prior to being thrown into the girl's bathroom, he got launched into a door. Is heartbroken, which, ouch. And what other thing? Just things happen to him, like left and right. And he just lets it roll off his back. Like, no, I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to maintain my own self. I'm going to not let them break me. You know, the line that Andy says, that's the whole vibe of the movie. And sort of going back to the influence of John Hughes on our lives, Pretty Pink, yes, and specifically that line, I just wanted to let them know they didn't break me. I am proud of myself. I'm proud of what I've done. I'm proud of where I'm from. And I'm not going to let any of these little pitfalls throughout my life negatively impact me. Just keep going forward. You know, there's that line from The Dark Knight where it's like, Master Wayne, why do we fall? So we learn to pick ourselves back up. And man, talk about influences of movies and indelible iconic lines like that. Really amazing quotes. And the whole I just wanted to let them know they didn't break me really stuck. And finding myself in a library just by sheer happenstance was kind of related to that. I kind of had this thing in the back of my head, which is always in the back of my head, like don't let you're not wanting to be a teacher anymore because you can't handle standing in front of like 30 precocious children. You know, it's like, oh, they're so intimidating. Just treat them like adults, you know, normal human beings. They're not, you know, or not getting a French or math teaching job because there weren't any, or and not getting any of my job applications accepted. But yeah, so that's how that happened. Another story.
So I wanted to ask you, has John Cryer ever reached out to you?
Okay. So long story short is yes. He has not reached out to me personally. Yes and no. Not reaching me out personally. So he's active on Twitter. And I posted a video a couple years ago. It was like July something 2021. And I was in the car with my dad, and we were just coming home from a Sox game. I'm not a Sox fan. I'm a Chicago Cubs fan, but I don't care. It's baseball. I love playing baseball, and I love watching baseball, and I love hanging out with my dad. And I'll go where I will watch a Sox game with him because he likes that. But I will root for the other team, you know, obviously. But because I'm sensible. Hello, no, not to bash any Sox fans. Y'all are impressive. I'm just looking at catching up on social media and specifically on TikTok, and I see so many comments. You need to check John Cryer's Twitter. And I was like, what does that mean? Do I take that literally? Like, just go check. What am I looking for? So I'm scrolling because he's very active on Twitter. Apparently it's something related to maybe John Hughes, maybe Duckie. I don't know what I'm looking for. And then I see a video, one of my videos on his Twitter, and I think I shouted. I don't know. I don't remember what I said. I think I might have dropped the F-bomb. I'm like, holy! And my dad's driving. He's like, what? Because I'm right next to him. So we have this like planes, trains, and automobiles kind of thing with John Candy's character. Is it? No, Dell is. Yeah,
it's
Dell. He's like, what? You know, because what is he, falling asleep or something? or he's just, no, he's jiving to Ray Charles, right? And he's doing a thing, and then he's like, I think he's also smoking because that's why the car lights on fire, right? And he does this thing, and I'm like, oh my God, another John Hughes related moment in my life. On top of another John Hughes moment. But so I was looking at his Twitter, and then he says, I forget exactly what it says. I pinned it on my link tree, 100% Duckman approved. And I was like, but and it was, I think I did something where I tried to showcase as many of Duckie's ensembles as I could, or I had at the time. All of them thrifted. And it was just like boom, 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 boom. And I think that was I forget what song it was. It was really cool because it was one of those trend things. I'm not into trends, but I try to make it align with what maybe Duckie would like, and maybe something that my audience would also like. But that particular one, like, why? What is it? Why was it that one? Oh my god! Oh, of all the ones, come on, that was not my favorite one, but still.
Was it the one that you were like, you thought you looked like you were dancing like a grandpa or something?
Oh yeah, no, not that one. That was Take on Me. Oh yeah, that the grandpa dancing one. Oh my god! But so John Cryer knows that I exist, so that makes me kind of terrified, but also it's validating. Even though I don't go chasing after validation at all, I just prefer that I don't become famous, or I just want to make sure that my ROI is, what is it, hot and dangerous, volcanic, but yes, I will say the costume designer, though, Marilyn Vance, has reached out to me, not reached out to me, but we have interacted together on Instagram. And I was filming something, I think it was related to Eddie Van Halen or something. And I take a break because I'm like, I need to take a break. I've been at this for 2 hours. And I'm checking social media again. And I get a notification that somebody has followed me. I'm like, Marilyn Vance, why does that sound familiar? I'm like, Marilyn Vance, Marilyn. But okay, the costume designer from Pretty in Pink and The Breakfast Club and Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Ferris Bueller's Day Off and The Rocketeer and Pretty Woman, and I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. And so I was like, okay, play it cool. So I messaged her because I think she had messaged me first. And I think she said something like, I just wanted to say, so I forget exactly what it was. I think I took a screenshot so I don't have to remember and look for it. But she was really grateful that I was keeping the Duckman alive. And I messaged her back. I think I sent her a GIF of when Duckie goes, he sees the duck guy, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, across the way. And he's like, moi? That little GIF. I sent her that. I'm like, see, that's like playing it cool, right? Yeah. I sent her GIF. And then I obviously sent her a textual message and just thanking her for supporting my goofy business on social media. And she's shared some of my stuff. And then I plugged this one. I think I might have. Because when she shared one of my posts, I commented, thank you for sharing my post. My sister's responsible for this particular, because I think it was one of our things together. I can't remember, but I did tag my sister on Instagram. Like, oh, you have to go check her out or follow her. She would really appreciate that because you're on her short list of most favorite costume designers. And I don't remember what happened after that because I was like schwitzing and all excited and keyed up. John Cryer, Marilyn Vance. Yeah, that's pretty much my, I think, right? Mm-hmm. Of the Pretty in Pink world.
So yes, validation. It's such validation of the work that you do and that your skill is definitely perfected. And for people who might want to see more of you or meet you guys in person, what can we expect upcoming from the both of you, or will you be at any conventions coming up soon?
For cosplay in general, we were going to check out this. I don't know if you want to dress up. Do you want to dress up to it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so tomorrow, I hope, there's this new place in Wrigleyville, across the street from, I think directly across from Wrigley Field. A new theater opened up, which has been christened the John Hughes Theater. It's actually called Draft House Chicago. And then it includes not only, there's like an 80s bar in there and an arcade, or I think there's an arcade. There's a little section where you can borrow for free VHS tapes and DVDs and things like that. It's like Video Vortex, I think Los Angeles has one, but we now have one. And on top of that, they have a theater, several screening rooms where you can watch things, and they have a strict no texting, no talking, like back to the pre-tech, not like pre-cell phone age. And I wanted to go check that out tomorrow, because tomorrow, Sunday, is the last day to get the 25% off discount. And I think I might want to dress like Duckie. And then maybe, let's see, I guess for upcoming conventions, we have C2E2 is coming up in March, well, end of March and April. And I don't know what our cosplay lineup is. I don't know. Oh, Power Rangers.
Yeah, Power Rangers and Wayne's World.
Yeah. So, well, I will definitely not look, well, not too, I'll probably look different. So don't look for Duckie there. And then July, we'll just do like a 6 months thing. San Diego Comic-Con is coming up in July, mid-July. And so if you're out there, I don't even know what our cosplay lineup would be.
Nope, I don't know yet.
We are just going to go there. But we'll figure it out. But yeah, the Draft House, if y'all are interested in going there, I don't think there's really anything that I want to watch there. I just want to experience the thing and get as much video, and I'll probably be sharing the experience with everybody else on TikTok and Instagram, because I love showing off what Chicago has and anything that's related to John Hughes, which is not hard, because
it's
everywhere.
It's
pretty much everywhere we go. Like she used to work at the Northbrook Library, which is pretty much
John Hughes.
Yeah,
John Hughville.
It is. It's right off of Sherwood Road, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And that's where the Ferris Bueller
Water Tower.
Yeah. So that's our sort of projected future within the next 6 months. Yeah.
Well, fantastic, guys. Please go give Jenny a follow. Obviously, we will have her links down below in our description. Ladies, we appreciate you so much for joining us. This has been so entertaining.
Good. I'm glad. That's kind of what I endeavor to do in life, really.
Good. Well, you definitely follow through on that one. And guys, stay tuned to What's Up Universe for more good content from MK and myself.